Hello, and welcome to another retro digital camera review. Today, I have a camera on loan to me. This is the camera that my mother likes keeping in her closet. This is the Kodak Easyshare Z915, a slightly odd little camera released in early 2008 for just under $200. This camera was kind of a mixed bag for me, and in this video I'll go over what I liked and didn't like during my time testing the camera. The Z915 was odd in the sense that it was spec'd to be more like a small compact point-and-shoot camera, but styled to look more like an SLR. Some old reviews even mentioned the camera being toy-like in design. The first thing that stands out is the bump on the top, housing the built-in flash. Putting the flash in a raised portion mimics the look of a viewfinder on a typical SLR camera. Below the flash sits the 10x optical zoom lens with image stabilization. It offers a 35mm focal length equivalent of 35 to 350 millimeters and a variable aperture of f3.5 to 4.8. The sensor hiding behind the lens is a 10 megapixel 1/2 inch Kodak CCD. Also on the front, you'll find a fairly bright focus assist light, as well as the front-facing microphone. The grip is shallow, but has a rougher texture, making it a little easier to hold. This texture wraps around the side and to the back, where you will also find a nice thumb rest. Overall, it's comfortable to hold and use, but ergonomics could be a bit better. This side of the camera is also where you will find the wrist strap eyelet as well as a flap covering the DC barrel jack and proprietary USB connector for data transfer. The opposite side of the camera shows a third texture of the same plastic, an easily smudged and scratched gloss black, with nothing here other than a 10 megapixel stamp. Flipping to the bottom, we find a standard tripod mount with plastic threads, and the battery door, which springs open to reveal 2 AA batteries and an SDHC card slot. I'm just using this old 2GB card that was already in the camera. The buttons are something I really like about this camera. Just like the other Kodak camera I've taken a look at, the top is where you'll find many of the controls. In fact, just about all the controls you need for taking a picture are located here on the top. The power button is quite small and flush to the top, but was easy enough to press without needing to worry about accidental bumps either. The mode dial is nice with good tactile feedback. Here you will find the usual auto and video modes, as well as aperture and shutter priority, and even a full manual mode. Beside the mode dial, you'll find a typical 2-step shutter button surrounded with the zoom rocker. And even further over, you'll find the buttons to control flash, macro, and self-timer options. The opposite side houses the mono speaker. Finally coming around to the back, we find the rest of the controls beside a 2.5-inch TFT LCD screen with a resolution of 230K dots. The screen was generally crisp and bright enough to compose and review shots on, even outdoors in bright light. Viewing angles on the screen really weren't too bad either. I'm not 100% sure, but to my eye the colors on the screen don't look completely accurate, looking a little cool with very strong blues. To the right of the screen lie the rest of the controls, mainly used for navigating menus and reviewing your media. Kodak also liked to add this red share button to their Easyshare cameras, and while I didn't really use any of the share functions, I did find an option to set the share button to favorite the photo you are currently looking at, making it easier to find your best shots later. You might have noticed already too, but despite having a bump on the top resembling what might be hiding the pentaprism for a viewfinder, there is no viewfinder here at all. A simple way of keeping both size and costs down. The Kodak Z915 is bigger and heavier than most other digital point-and-shoot cameras that I've used, sitting comfortably between compact point-and-shoots and bridge cameras, in both size and capability. Before I get into image quality, let's turn the camera on and take a quick look at some of the modes and menus. Menus are simplified when shooting in auto mode, though all setup options are still available. Switch over to one of the manual modes, and more settings are made available, such as white balance and color modes. When using any of the manual modes, settings such as aperture, shutter speed, exposure compensation, and ISO can all be changed with the D-pad quickly and easily. The three buttons at the top will quickly cycle through settings for flash, near or far focus, and self-timers. I've noticed that Kodak cameras seem to be missing the feature where you can't instantly turn on the camera to review photos with the play button. It's small and probably doesn't matter, though it is a feature that I've come to like on some of my other cameras. I took the Kodak Z915 out with me on a little photo walk. But I chose a bad location and a day that was too bright. So, I took the Kodak Z915 out with me on a little photo walk. But actually to better locations with better lighting, taking pictures of everything to give this camera the best chance that I could. All of the photos I am sharing here are JPEG straight from the camera with no edits. Starting with the photos that I took in the barren area, one of the first things I noticed was how strong the blues were. Some colors came out very saturated, and blue was the one I noticed most. Even after trying different white balance settings, pictures were still coming out a bit cooler than I typically prefer. Though that's just a personal preference, and not necessarily a negative. Other than the colors, I had no issues with image quality at all. The lens seems decent, with no noticeable aberrations or distortions, and images were sharp corner to corner throughout the zoom range. If you do zoom in and pixel peep, you will notice compression and noise can be an issue, especially if you shoot at higher ISO values. To counter this, I stuck mostly to program auto mode, with ISO locked to 200. Starting at 35mm isn't the widest, more of a standard field of view, but having 10 times zoom gives you quite a bit of room to play with, making this a great camera to toss in a bag when going on hikes or to your kid's ball game. I'm going to quickly touch on the video quality here as well. Video mode is fully automatic, with no access to changing settings such as exposure, ISO, or white balance. Video clips can be recorded in up to 640 by 480 at 30 FPS, and can record continuously with no time limit until the file is 4 GB in size. Optical zoom can be used while recording video, something not all compact CCD cameras were able to do. Stabilization works well, though the continuous autofocus can pulse quite a bit. The video really isn't too bad, relatively speaking. Personally, I just didn't really enjoy using this camera. There was nothing wrong with it, and actually had quite a few things I liked. But overall, it just kind of feels like an almost. I'm not trying to say this is a bad camera, or, if for some reason you're looking to get one, that you shouldn't buy it. Instead, I feel this shows that photography is subjective. I didn't really enjoy the colors in the photos I was taking with this, and therefore didn't really want to bring it around with me. If I'm not bringing the camera with me, then obviously I'm not taking good photos with it. there really is a lot to like here. This camera has lots of features packed into a fairly compact body with a large zoom range, and produces some pretty nice photos. While I would recommend this camera if you can get it cheap, this one will be going back into the closet for now, while I use other cameras that I personally find more enjoyable. Hope you liked the photos, and maybe found this video either entertaining or helpful. That's going to be it for this one, so until next time, thanks for watching.